When I have to make an outline for something, there's trouble. I've decided it's high time to upgrade my wireless networking in the house, and that is actually going to be done over 4 different phases because there are a bunch of different things that need to be done, and everything needs to be done in this order. So I figured it'd be a good idea to write it down. Yes, this is my actual handwriting. This is actually neat. I usually don't even write this nice. But yeah, it's kind of readable. Anyway, so let's talk about the existing network and how and why and what, and then we'll get into the phase 1 part of it. Well, this bulb isn't happy today. That just showed up out of nowhere. That's great. So I guess we'll have to address that too. Anyway, here's the deal. Cable modem is this Aris box, and the router is this Netgear box on top of it. The Netgear router was a replacement for a replacement for a replacement. Something like that. Basically what happened was I had an old Linksys BEFSR41 way back in the day. That was your plain old wired router that had 4 ports on it, and I paid $200 for that box back in the day. How much can you get a wireless router for these days? 35 bucks, maybe 30 bucks. So yeah, I had that, tried to apply a firmware update to it one day years ago, and it got bricked, and I tried every trick in the book to unbrick it, and it wasn't having it. So that was the end of that. That was really nice. So with that being said, I was forced to get another router. In the meantime, I had it wasn't actually this one. This is an SMC router with a USB print server. I had a D-Link for a time that had a parallel port on it, I think, for a print server, and that had a lot of interesting features and stuff, but I don't remember what happened to that. It just stopped working one day, and that was the end of that. I don't even know what the status with this SMC thing is, but I ended up buying a Netgear router, needing one in a pinch, and I was still working at Tiny Middle at the time, and I said, I am not going there on my day off. Fuck the employee discount. And I went to the Staples that was here. Funny thing is I bought it at Staples, and Staples is like totally, how do I say this? Superbly expensive on top of any other place. And the Netgear router that I bought was the same price at Tiny Middle, and there even was no employee discount on that because it was such a low-priced router. I don't need much. I'm not like this Jesse Ladner that needs 6 routers with 56 fucking antennas, and the shit doesn't work half the time because he's a computer technician and knows what the fuck he's doing. How many times has he posted videos about the internet's out, the internet's out, the internet's out? Yeah. You know when this goes down? When this Netgear router failed once, and they replaced it under warranty, and it's been working well since. And right here, this used to be a window, but for some reason it was boarded up when I bought the house. I don't know why. I tried removing the screws for that, but I didn't want to force it out. Probably because there's not much of a window left behind it. I don't know why and how, but I understand this was broken into at one point many years ago in this house. Some kids broke in. So I left it here and I made it into a shelf. But they didn't do a nice job sealing it, so there's always some cool air from outside coming in. So there's just some nice cool air. Not enough to really hurt the heat in the house, but just enough to keep the equipment cool. So that works well. And there's a UPS here, you know, for the network equipment. That's all plugged into the switch over here, the 24-port switch, and that's really the deal. So as far as wireless goes, this Netgear that I bought in a pinch doesn't have an antenna on it, and there's no port for an antenna either. So the wireless in this house sucks. Oh, I saved the box? Wow. It was sitting right there. Are the instructions in there too? That would be totally awesome. They are! Oh, that's going to make things a lot easier for later. Okay, so great. That's actually good news. I can't close this with one hand. Sort of good. Okay, good. So, China sent this thing. It plugs in. You can plug Ethernet into it, but I didn't. And I just used it as, the wireless in my house doesn't work. I want a magic pill to fix it. They sent it to me, and it works. Sorta. The throughput isn't great, but it's enough for the whiff and the tablets and shit like that upstairs. Because it's not, you know, it's not a high-use, high-volume thing, so it's not a big deal. But I wanted to upgrade this because the problem is all of the smart plugs that are on the network also, and of course those are all wireless. So the smart plugs are so I can tell Alexa to turn things on and off and whatnot, but that all goes on the wireless. Now the problem is, being that I'm the old hardware guy, I still run Wireless B. And Wireless B does not support the same security protocols as Wireless G and above and everything that we have today. So for backwards compatibility, I run this wireless network totally open. No password, no nothing. You drive up, you can latch on, you can hack in. That's fine. It's not going to happen. It just doesn't happen. The possibility is there, the likelihood is not. So it's not even a problem. So I leave this open. However, the smart plugs require a password. Now I can't set a password if I'm going to be doing Wireless B, because then everything gets all in a pissy about everything. Fortunately, this Netgear offers a guest network. So what I did is I set up the guest network, figuring that not much data is going to flow over that, with a password, and all of the smart plugs in the house connect up to that guest network only, and it's totally segregated from the rest. It's also password protected, so DDoS and other internet attacks where they want to attack smart plugs and that, it's at least password protected, and as a guest network, it's, yeah, I think it's probably just fine. Probably not. But anyway, that's kind of the deal. So the guest network, when that has to go 2 floors upstairs, a lot of those smart plugs, they just don't work sometimes because they don't have the signal. So I need a way to boost the existing network, which this little China jobber there is doing a okay job of, but I wanted to boost that more, get some more throughput, some more better everything, and then I wanted to reuse that for the Internet of Things, so that way I could boost the signal and have everything, for the most part, chooch off of that, which would be in a fairly centralized location. So that way everything's got a pretty good shot. Because to go from here 2 floors up and on the opposite end of the house, not really happening too well. Right. Going from this, which is centrally located, up 1 floor, not too bad. Could be better. Years ago, when I had my original BEFSR41 Linksys router, it had no wireless capabilities. So to add that, I bought the WAP54G, the wireless G54 megabit per second access point. Said access point lives on the wall in the kitchen right here. And this was a centrally located spot. It's got its two antennas. Oopsies. It's got its two antennas sticking out. And it did a fine job. Why was it decommissioned? I don't know. Something happened with that thing where it just totally brought the network to its knees. I don't know how, why, or what, but one day, this was back when I was still using XP, I would just lose internet connectivity. And then if I did an ipconfig /release and then issued again with a /renew, it would come back up, and it would work for anywhere from 15 minutes to 7 seconds. And then I would have to do it again. In fact, I even wrote a batch file that I could run directly just to refresh that, and it would work every time after that, but it got just to be a fucking nuisance. I didn't know what was causing this on the network, and segment by segment I had to take the network down one by one and give it 24 hours. And when I finally disconnected this, the problem went away. So this has been decommissioned for fucking years. Nobody, and I talked to some guys who fucking know about networking, nobody could figure this shit out. With the symptoms that I had, nobody had a fucking clue what the hell was going on. And I was the only one who was able to fix it. The problem with that is I'm not a network guy. I don't know much about networks at all, but I still figured it out. So this has been decommissioned, and instead of using that, what I've been using is this little China square, which we saw before. If you could just barely see the blue on it, that used to be nice and bright, and the China LEDs have faded, much like the performance of the unit. No, I'm actually kidding about that part. It still works fine, but that's what I had. And it's just plugged in there because I just needed a quick do-it-now solution. So that's been there. That is going to be repurposed, reconfigured later in this upgrade. So because I do have a functional network going right now, and everything is sort of, kind of, almost working, I want to set up the new equipment in place, and then later we're going to decommission that, take that down, and that. We'll go back to the outline. So like Phase 1 says, configure new equipment in place, leave existing infrastructure undisturbed. So that is the point of Phase 1. And after that's set up, then we can move to Phase 2, which is to remove the old decommissioned equipment, such as that WAP54G, trace and test existing wiring. I don't remember which Ethernet cable that is. Here's all the cables going to the kitchen. There's cable TV and 3 wires. And of these 3, 2 are Ethernet and 1 is serial, which has never been put into service. Serial over Ethernet, yes. So anyway, that shit runs down over here, and then it gets lost in a plenum of cables here, which then crosses into here and ends up joining the fucking conduit of everything. So you tell me which one is the right wire. It's beige, but that's all I know. I see 2 beigeish wires here that could, possibly be it. So I have ways of testing that and figuring it out. I believe the cable is still connected in place at both ends, but power has just been removed from that. But I'm going to physically test the cable anyway because I have the equipment. It only takes a minute, and why the fuck not? And then once we have the wiring traced out and confirmed working, we can physically connect the new equipment and ensure proper functionality. And that, of course, will include mounting it to the wall. So that's as far as I'm going to mention at this point, because I want to show you what I'm going to be using to actually upgrade. And that is, of course, again, from China. And that is this Comfast outdoor high gain wireless something or other something. And it's got this thing so you can put this outside in the rain, in the snow, and like mount it to a pole and it can get rained on. Yeah, that's going over like a fucking fart in church. Absolutely, that's going to go well. There is enough room to physically mount this on the wall there. I don't remember if there's enough room vertically. If not, it can always go horizontally. It really doesn't make a difference anymore. And this does ABGN, fucking AG, LMNOP, whatever the latest and greatest shit that they had when this was new did. And it was made by Comfast, and that sounds like Comcast cable, but it has nothing to do with that. It's Comfast, and now when you look this product up, they still sell it, but it's gone Juvish, because now they call it Juwin. Joowin. Don't upgrade your network with cheap Chinese shit like this, because when you do, the instructions are non-existent. And I gotta find the box for this still. It's around somewhere, and place it with the networking stuff. I've already gone ahead and set this up, and that's why I put these stickers on here of what the permanent IP address of it is going to be, the username and password. Yes, there you go, folks. It's a local IP, so you won't be able to connect to it, so don't get your knickers in a twist. The instructions specifically state to use the WAN port on it, and it's marked there. So, right. When I tried it on the WAN port, it said, "Nuh-uh, no way, not happening, forget it." But on the LAN port, it works. So there you go. The IP address, so I can always connect to it if I need to, and use the LAN port, and this can stay configured with no password or anything, full compatibility across the board. To set this up that way, oh, that was a different ball game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug this in, get a laptop, and see if I can connect to it again to ensure that it works, because I don't even remember how I did that. It also uses this adapter, which plugs in, and then it has that, which is actually power over Ethernet. So you have to use this to inject power over the Ethernet wire. So the existing wire that's going up to the kitchen, which is another reason I want to test it to make sure all the conductors are good, is going to be supplying power to this unit, because there is no other way to power it. It's power over Ethernet only. Now, if you already had an existing network with PoE, you could plug it right in, and of course it would work. But I don't. So this is going to be injecting PoE just for this, and power that, and that should be just fine. It'll also free up an outlet in the kitchen, so I can move that little square thing over to where the WAP54G used to be plugged in, to not take up an extra outlet, and free that outlet on the wall up. And there's a cover that goes on that, which is wiggly jiggly over here, that I have set up with 2 screws and wall anchors, and I've made sure those screws will fit, because I don't know where the ones it came with are, and they're probably cheap shit anyway. So anyway, that's all set, so it'll make for a nice clean installation that nobody's looking at, because even with just that, it's fine. You know, it's fine. So let me get this hooked up. This does have a blue China light on it, and that's it. It'll power up. Unfortunately, I don't get the cool red, green, and amber lights that the WAP54G had. There's just some like blue or green lights here, I don't even remember. And they flicker and flash, and I'm never going to see them, because I think it's going to be mounted either sideways like this or vertically like this. Both orientations are out of sight when it's going to be up on the wall like that, because you can't see that side of it either which way, no matter what. So I'd have to mount it upside down or pointing that way, and that's just dumb. So let me get this set up in a laptop, and I'll see if I can connect to it. So it's been weeks since I configured this, maybe months, I can't remember anymore. But in the wireless list we see Netgear, which is that existing router that it's connected to. You see it's an open network. And also down here is Netgear _EXT, which is also unsecured right there. Above that is ComFast. Gee, can we figure out what that might be? Yeah, I have that plugged in. That's unsecured. And Wi-Fi plug, which is for the IoT, does have a password. And that's from my printer, the direct something or other that's right there. As far as what that last thing is, it's not mine, so I don't know. Okay, 192.168.1.102 is the static IP I set on it. If we go to connect, the little thing is twirling around the wrong way, so that's a great sign. I don't remember if I had to be on its wireless to do that. Maybe? I can't remember. It's been that long. Something's happening. Okay, can't be reached, so we're going to switch wireless networks to the ComFast and then hit that. There it goes. There's the Chinese login. So it's hard to read, but I'll log in, and we're in. Okay, so that address, I must be connected to that access point in order to access. Like I said, I'm not a network guy, so I don't know about subnet masks and all this other bullshit. I just never got into that aspect of the stuff. I know enough to fuck around, but that's really about it. I can set static IPs and put in the correct DNS servers and things, and that's really about the limitations of my knowledge. But I had to configure this, and it was, I'm not going to do it now, but the software for this router, the firmware I should say, just is fucking awful. So bad, so terrible. Oh my god, bad. And it's like the time zone, I'm not going to go through it, but like the time zone was set to China land by default. I'm like, you know, if you're manufacturing this in China, okay, be proud of your China pride. That's great, okay? But if you're marketing it for sale in the US, just set it right. Jesus, really? So anyway, it has like this wizard thing, which I guess we can hit that. Yeah, that's it. Router, bridge, access point, or repeater. Once you change the mode, fucking everything in it is wiped out. So anything you entered in there is gone. Oh, what a fucking mess. This software, this firmware rather, is so terrible, but somehow I muddled through this and got it to work, barely. And it's configured and set up, and I think, if I recall, I have it set up just perfectly, so if I want to access stuff on the network, yeah, this is all on the rest of the network, so that's all good, and I can access that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 computers on it at the same time? Yeah, that's about normal for around here. So, when I had this as like the default that it was, like I guess on router mode, it worked. I had wireless, I had internet, it was there. You can go to www.doorknobfucking.com. It was all there for you, no matter what you wanted. But the problem was I couldn't access the local network because something with the subnets or so, I don't know how any of that shit works. So anyway, I fucked around enough until I got it to work. It's called FATTD. Fucked around till trouble disappears. FATTD. Don't we all do that at work for the most part? You're trying to fix something? Yeah. If you fix shit. Anyway. So I got it to work. Everything's there. The only thing I have to remember that I should have made a label for is that IP address to access the firmware of the new access point has to be done while connected wirelessly to it, because it didn't work the other way. So that's all I know. So anyway, yeah, there's the blue lights. Nothing exciting and bright or anything anyways. So this is going to be the deal. And I'm going to mount this up to the wall. And this is going to serve for that. And then that's going to be phase 2. Physically installing this, setting it up, and just kind of retesting what we just did. So we're going to just go ahead and close this shit. Well, I don't want to close Windows. Yeah, actually I do, because I really don't need this machine. But I'm just going to exit out of that, not make any changes. And we'll come back to, why didn't you do this on the computer, Jay? I don't know. It was just one of those things where you want to take it with you and you need that number portability. Something like that. So, like I said, phase 2 is going to be to remove the old decommissioned equipment. We're going to trace and test the existing wiring and physically connect the new equipment, mount it up to the wall, and ensure proper functionality. So this was intro and phase 1 of my wireless network upgrade. It seems structured, but I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, so I figure it out as I go along. And that's pretty much it. I do need to make a paper template of the mounting points on the back of the access point there, which I'm going to call it, so that way I can tape that onto the wall and make the right holes where they need to be and all that. So phase 2 is going to be, the rest of these phases are going to be a lot shorter than this video, because I had a lot of splaining to do, Lucy. So I just wanted to get all my splaining out of the way. So the rest of the phases are going to be a lot shorter. So with that, I thank you very much for watching. Make sure you click like, make sure you click subscribe, and stay tuned for phase 2, where I go ahead and actually hook this shit up. Okay, we'll see you then. Take care. Bye-bye.